Hello, my name is Wesley Smith, and I am currently studying exercise science. My goal for the future is to learn and teach nutrition at a college level, but I'm kind of going into the whole field of, physical wellness. I am currently studying to become a physical education teacher. I'm learning biology and education science, and I'm using this video as a kind of show of skill to show that I'm a good candidate. So active isolated stretching is basically like static stretching. The only difference is the amount of time that you hold it for and how many times you do it. So for a static stretch, you would take the stretch and you would hold it for about 30 seconds, where the active isolated stretching is you hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, release. 1, 2, 3, 4, release, and you would repeat this process 8 to 10 times. And the specific stretches that you do are basically the same as the static stretching. That is the only difference. So, when it comes to training your adductors, which are the muscles that kind of bring things together, and I remember that because adding is you bring the numbers together. Um, so, for training the adductors, you're going to stand in a split stance where basically your legs are apart. I'm sorry, I can't really go much further back than this, but basically, you want the leg that you're training on the backside, this which is my left leg, is the one I'm going to be training. And you want your other foot to be about heel to toe. So if my heel and toe are on the same plane, and you're basically going to activate your the glute and the quadricep. I don't know why that's so hard for me on the leg that you're going to work out, and you're going to bend the knee to stretch the leg or to like change the stance, and that's going to cause the stretching of the adductor muscles. You hold 1, 2, 3, 4, release. 1, 2, 3, 4, release. And repeat 8 to 10 reps. So, for when we're talking about the planes of the body, which are obviously the frontal plane, which divides the body into the front and back half of your body, when you're talking about the sagittal plane, which is like a line going straight through your forehead, which divides the body into left or right, and then the transverse plane, which is you can't see it, but my stomach's at my waist, and it's kind of like when all the other planes are straight up like this, it's horizontal. Vertical, that's the word. And it goes right through the midsection. And what these planes mean is it's kind of showing motion along that axis of the body, basically. So when we're talking about the sagittal plane, it's any type of movement that is forward and back. So, I have a weight right here. A simple sagittal action would just be, just a curl because it's moving forward and backward along this axis. Now, when I take it to the side, and I can't do this because I'm really out of shape, but if I raise it up and back down, I think it's a lateral curl. I may be wrong on that. It's lateral something. This is a frontal plane because it's moving along the axis that goes through my body like this. So for the transverse plane, that takes into account any sort of rotational movement. And the reason that is because, say, with the frontal movement, if you're turning your body, that axis is changing. Same, or with the frontal, with the sagittal, same thing with the frontal is that, side to side, if I'm turning my body, that axis is changing. Uh, but with the transverse, it's horizontal. So when you turn, it stay or the tran when you turn, talking is hard work. When you turn, the transverse kind of stays the same. It's still just turning your body. So regarding progressions and regressions for the exercise, um, obviously for the transverse exercise, I'm gonna go over that first because I don't have it, so I just have to talk about it. So lighter ball, that's probably the easiest. Lighter and heavier ball are probably the easiest changes you can make to that exercise to make it easier or harder as need be. Also, the exercise you could do it from a standing start. You don't necessarily have to bring the whole body into it. That obviously brings a whole lot of risk with it when you're bringing your whole body into it. That's a lot more things that can go wrong. So for a person who may be older or less mobile, you don't necessarily have to start from all the way down here. You could easily just as well start from a standing position and just So there's a thing I believe it's called assisted running and band walk. So what band walks are basically they train your abductor muscles, I believe. Um, Basically, you put a band around your ankles and you basically sidestep. So you're stepping to the side. Bands can be increased in strength, and so can the speed at which you walk. And basically, what it does is it requires you to work out your abductor muscles to be able to stretch your legs against the resistance of the band. And so you can quickly sidestep and work out those muscles. So assisted running is I learned about this. It's more for a frontal plane, but can be turned or it can be used for or sagittal plane. It can be used for frontal plane as well. Where basically you basically have something tied around your waist and someone will hold it and you'll try and run while they're trying to hold you back. Obviously they wouldn't completely hold you back, but they would give just enough resistance to make it really challenging to run. Same can be done for sidestepping. It would actively work against their forces and also not just train the abductors, but the adductors as well, because you're having to pull on the rope. Obviously, you would want to switch with sides occasionally that is being pulled on so that you don't get really strong in one adductor on one leg and really strong on the adductor for the other leg.
After you write it down, you're going to close. You're going to make a fist, but with your thumb on the inside. So once you make the fist, one hand's going to go down here, and one hand's going to go over your neck, and you're going to try and get them as close together as possible while maintaining the fist. Go ahead and pause it.
So for the latissimus dorsi stretch, I also have kind of the same issue, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what you want to do is, again, you want to start basically on all fours and you want to extend the arm that you wish to stretch, depending on which side you're trying to do, out onto an object, keeping your arm straight. And you're going to slowly just kind of move your hips back. And then you're going to begin to feel the stretch. For me, it's really strong in the shoulders. I can't go much further back than this, which isn't very far. But I feel it more in my shoulders. And quadriceps femoris, which are called that because there are four muscles, um, just kind of like that. Um, and to stretch these is kind of easier. What you want to do is you want to get down in basically a kneeling position, and you're going to keep your back straight, and you're just going to lean forward. No, wait. No, I was right. You keep your back straight, and then you kind of push forward until you feel the tension inside the muscles right here, and you hold for 20 to 30 seconds. So since I just did the hamstrings, I'm also going to do the assisted uh, uh, PNF hamstring stretch. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone to do this with, so I'm just going to have to walk you through it as if someone else was here. So I, as the personal trainer, would be standing or would be kneeling basically at the end of the client, and I would have a hold of their leg during this. And I would act as basically a counterweight for them to flex their leg against. So what'll happen is they'll sit here with one leg at about a 90-degree angle, not as I sleep. They're just going to have it on the floor. And then they're going to basically give their leg to the personal trainer who would grab hold of it and then just kind of push it until tension in the hamstring appears. At that moment, the client is going to basically push against the person holding the leg to create a lot more tension in the hamstrings, um, allowing for a greater stretch. Something about activating Golgi bodies and whatnot. Golgi tendons, not bodies. I'd like to think I bring a certain sense of humor and differentness to physical education. I definitely want to become a teacher. That's my primary goal. But I'm aware that currently the world is kind of having an issue with, people being out of shape, obese, all these health conditions that kind of plague us. I want to do what I can to help those, and I feel a good way to start is by getting healthy life choices in early, because it's a lot easier for a teenager or a preteen to form these healthy habits that they take into their adult life than an adult who's set in their ways. I'm only 25, but already there's you know my life would be a lot better if I just started some yoga, but like getting it started is difficult, and I want to give people their chance.